pray with me? May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Que las palabras de mi boca y los pensamientos de todos nuestros corazones sean aceptables ante ti, oh Dios, nuestra roca y nuestro Redentor. Amen. How lovely is your dwelling place, O God, O sovereign of hosts. Cuán hermosas son tus moradas, Señor Todopoderoso. How pleasant it is to stand in the house of God. I mean it. I work in this building, and so all too often my attention is drawn to leaks and dirty carpets and all of the shortcomings of a 100-year-old building. But when I think of the history of this place, the generations of people who have grown up here, who have confessed their sins here, who have whispered prayers here, who have joined in union with their loves here, who have blessed their children here, who have memorialized their dead here, we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. 100 years ago, this spot, there was no church here. But this was about the time 100 years ago when a community came together and said, you know, we need to put a church here. And if you look around, you can see all of the love that they put into crafting this building, the details on the columns, the details outside. Take a look sometime. It is incredible to see all of the carved saints around us as well. How great it is to be in this house of God. The scriptural inspiration for today's sermon comes from two places. The first is Psalm 84, which the call to worship was based on. And then today's gospel reading from Luke. In Psalm 84, the author tries to express the unexpressible. He attempts to describe his love for the temple. He loves everything about the temple. He loves the outside. He loves the inside. He loves the most sacred places. He loves the most unsacred places. He loves every inch of the house of God. Even though he is at a distance, most likely, he writes that he is coming to this temple. He longs for it. It's at a distance, and yet he remembers every detail, and he remembers it with great love. Even at a distance, he voices his passion for the place where God is, for the place where people sing songs of glory and grace and shout joyfully. But we know that it's not the temple, it's not the physical place that the psalmist is longing for. What he really wants, what he really needs, is a place where he feels at home. I think that's what so many of us really want. Because to invoke a popular 1980s TV show, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see the people are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. That was from Cheers. I think we're all looking for a place to call home. Creo que buscamos todos un lugar. It used to be that a family would live in the same town for generations, or the same neighborhood for generations, but it's not so anymore. In the pursuit of the best opportunities, we now move across the country for school or for a job. Young adults are particularly mobile, moving from state to state like it's just down the street. A lot of us here, myself included, are from far away. We're far from the places where we were raised and where our families are. And we want a place where we can feel at home. For others of us, the idea of home is a difficult one. We have this idea of home being some kind of idyllic Norman Rockwell painting, where everyone's happy and healthy and safe eating together around a table. But for many, the place where they grew up was not safe, not healthy. Maybe there wasn't enough food, or maybe there wasn't enough love. Some people grow up moving around to different houses, while others get kicked out of their homes. And sometimes when that idealistic vision of home gets ruined, it becomes that much harder to trust others. We're that much less likely to believe that we will ever find a home with other people. I've been here at UUC for almost 2 years, and I'm at the point where I'm really starting to feel like I'm at home. Don't get me wrong, everybody was really nice from day one, and very welcoming. But I've come to realize that the sign that you're really at home in a place is when you feel comfortable welcoming others into your home. So to you out there, all of you, whether you were raised right in this church or half a world away, whether you grew up in a Norman Rockwell painting or a nightmare, whether you sleep under a roof or in the park, whether you grew up in a faith tradition or not at all, I say to you, to all of you, welcome home. Señor Todopoderoso, Rey mío y Dios mío, aún el gorrión haya casa cerca de tus altares. También la golondrina hace ahí su nido para poner sus polluelos. Yes, this church can be your home. We know that home is not just a house. It's not just your immediate family. We often have many homes throughout our lives. We construct them for ourselves over a lifetime. My college dorm was a kind of home. Oportunidad es un hogar. For many of the people living on Skid Row is a home. And this church can be your home. Esta iglesia es un hogar. Because there are two main things that make a home. A home is, first, a place of safety where you can be yourself without fear. And second, a community of people who know and care about you and will challenge you to be the best person that you can be. At UUC, we strive to be these things. And of course, no home is perfect, but we work hard to be this kind of a place. So what does it mean to be at home in the house of God? Well, let me describe the house of God to you. God's house is a special place because of its beauty. I'm not talking about the beauty you see on the cover of a magazine. Certainly I'm not talking about the beauty of the aesthetic appeal of this room, but you know what real beauty is. It's diversity. Think about it. A great painting is beautiful because it's made up of different colors and different strokes and different forms. It's made up of the intentions of the artist, and it's made up of all of the ways that people respond to it when they see it. That's what makes a painting beautiful. It's the diversity of experience that goes into it. So, when I look around this congregation, I think, wow, you all look pretty beautiful out there. I mean it. La casa de Dios es bella por su diversidad. And we need your uniqueness. Your uniqueness is what makes church our home and what makes it so beautiful. We are striving to be a place where all people feel welcome, not just because we know so many people need a place to feel at home, but because our home needs to become more beautiful and more blessed with these people. When we incorporate more people from different walks of life, we become more fully the house of God. So, you give us new life, and we will strive to be a place of new life for you. If you feel alone in the world, let this be a place of friendship. If you feel that you are broken or sinful, let this be a place of forgiveness. If you feel lost, let this be a place of rest and guidance as you strive to find your way. If you feel stuck in old patterns and hopeless about the future, let this be a place that empowers you to change yourself and then the world. For this is what a home should be. And certainly this is what a church home should be. And with the presence of God in this house of God, that's what it can be. A place of great welcome, of true companionship, and also a place where we are pushed to become our best and truest selves. That's right. I think you might know this from Sunday school. The church is not a building. The church is not a steeple. The church is not a resting place. The church is a crucible of excitement and fire made up of all different kinds of people who are stirring their own souls and stirring the souls of others to become wholly new in God. So, Jesus certainly knew this to be true. And in our gospel lesson from today, Jesus has entered the temple and read from the scroll of Isaiah. But he does not just read from the scroll, he tells the people in the temple that the promise of God, that God has made them, of good news to the poor, of release to the captives, of sight to the blind, that all of that is happening, and it's happening right now. Basically, he says it's time to stop talking about it, and it's time to start doing it, time to start living it. Jesus pushes the priests of the temple. He challenges their holier-than-thou thinking. The priests thought that Jesus should save his miracles and his messages for them, instead of including people that they regarded as human garbage, namely the Gentiles and the others who were rejected by society. But Jesus told the crowd what they needed to hear, instead of telling them what they wanted to hear. He challenged their way of thinking, and he challenged the status quo. He came to upset the apple cart called their way of life. He told the crowds that they did not have an exclusive relationship with God. He reinforced John the Baptist's claim in Luke 3:8 about God being able to use stones to raise up children of Abraham. Jesus reminded them of times when God passed judgment on Israel but saved a Gentile woman. He reminded them of God finding favor with Naaman, the leper, a leper who was a Gentile. His message was a reminder that the house of God is not a social club or a membership organization. It is open to all people and becomes more beautiful and more blessed as more people are included. In this case, the truth hurt the congregation of the temple, and they rejected Jesus. This temple, Jesus had grown up in the temple. We hear stories of him going there as a young child. It was his home, and he was cast out of his home. And he was in Nazareth. This was his hometown where everybody knew his father, and he was cast out of the town. He had to run for his life. Instead, he went off and made his own home among his own people, among those who would follow him. And he created the first church. If we are to be like Jesus, the church must also be a place where we encourage one another to live into God's vision for us and for the world. It's got to be a place where we strive to build God's kingdom one person at a time, starting with ourselves. We are here to support and comfort one another, but also to guide and hold one another accountable. We will continue to strive to be a place of radical welcome and comfort, of forgiveness and grace, of empowerment and transformation. And in our striving, we will make this house of God all the more beautiful. The temple was the psalmist's favorite place in the world. It is my prayer for you that if it isn't already, this house of God become your favorite place as well. Whether you've been a part of this church for decades or one day, I say to you, welcome home.